Welcome back, friends. This is post-production Torella again, letting you know that this is the beginning of part 2. We originally had recorded this episode as one big long episode, so we split it into 2. So if you haven't listened to or watched part 1, go back and listen to or watch that. Here we are picking up with the rest of the Lori Vallow story. So she ends up texting Alex, her brother,
the angel of death.
So on July the 10th, 2019, she texts him and she says, I need you to be close to me. It's all coming to a head this week. You will be like Nephi and so will I. Or I will be like Nephi and so will you. One of those. It comes out in this trial that Nephi is a figure in the Mormon faith who is most known or best known for committing a righteous killing, that it was a justified killing, that whoever it is that he killed, I forget who it was, that it had to happen, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So to be like Nephi,
one must righteously kill.
That's what the prosecution says.
Allegedly.
Lori says he was also known for other stuff too.
Okay.
But
like what? Be specific. How does it relate?
Yeah, it doesn't. So she says, I need you to stay close to me. You need to come over, whatever.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is Adam was in town then. He flew in that day also. He was supposed to have stayed with Alex, but he gets into town that day and he's calling Alex and Alex doesn't call him back. Alex doesn't answer. He never hears from him. So he ends up going and staying with somebody else because he's like, I mean, what the fuck, dude? Like, I was supposed to stay at your house. He doesn't know that Alex is at Lori's house and spending the night there. Alex is spending the night at Lori's house with a loaded gun. I wonder why.
Yeah.
So then Charles gets there the next morning to pick up JJ to bring him to school. He goes inside to get everything. He ends up calling Alex and being like, or no, he texted him and he said, I'm sorry, he texted Adam. Sorry, they must start with A. Texted Adam, the other brother, and was like, Alex is here. And Adam was like, I don't like that. Like, why would he be there? Like, what's going on? So he knew something was off or whatever. And then, of course, he never hears from Charles again. So Charles goes in to
get JJ.
He goes out, puts JJ in the car. He left his phone in the house. He goes back in the house to get the phone. Lori's got his phone now. She won't give it back to him. She says he's getting unruly.
Yeah.
Tylee comes out of the bedroom with a baseball bat because she is trying to protect Lori, she says, because Charles is
yelling,
gonna do something to her, yelling. Yeah. She says that Charles then takes the bat from Tylee, hits Alex over the head, who has now come out of his bedroom with the gun.
Right.
And then Alex shoots him twice.
Okay, I thought the way he told it, he was hit with Tylee's bat, and then he went back in the bedroom and got the gun. Because
that may be it. Yeah.
Okay, because this is where I was going to go on my rant about self-defense. Okay, here we go. We've talked about this before. It is a very, very fine line between being the aggressor and being the victim person who can actually claim self-defense. Now, if you hit me in the head and I have a gun on me and I take it out as you're swinging the bat at me again, self-defense, right? If you hit me in the head with a bat and I have time to physically leave the scene, procure a weapon, come back, and then shoot you. Not self-defense.
We've lost the...
You are no longer an aggressor if I'm able to get away.
Yeah.
Now, can that flip if I go to the room and I come back out and you become aggressive again? Yes, it can. But his story, allegedly, or the story, is that he was hit in the head. He went back into the room. He got a gun. He came back out and shot him. That's not self-defense. It's not.
Right. Well, and he shoots him twice. And the second time he shoots him, Charles is on the ground. And we know that because the second exit wound is a shored wound. And that was a big point in the trial because a shored wound, I learned, is if your body is typically up against a hard surface, a wall, a floor, whatever. So as the bullet is coming out, it doesn't have anywhere to just go. So it creates this exit wound in your body that almost looks kind of like a little like crater around it, for lack of a better word. Like, from the
where
force
it tried
or
to come out and couldn't.
Yeah, and the bullet did exit his body eventually, and it got stuck in the floor underneath him. But the wound is indicative
what you're looking at,
that his body was pressed up against something. Lori makes a big deal about the fact that, well, did you even care that he was wearing a $200 bamboo shirt? And they're like, what? No.
Why would we care about that?
And she's like, do you have any idea how strong bamboo fabric is? And they're like, no.
Apparently not bulletproof.
Yeah. She's trying to allege that the that the bamboo shirt made
my
the sword
God.
wound and not the floor.
Okay.
And then on redirect, when the prosecutor gets up and she's like, and if he was wearing a bamboo shirt, wouldn't both exit wounds be shored? And the medical examiner was like, yeah. And she's like, oh, well, okay.
She's like, ooh.
So then later
Didn't
she's
see that
like,
coming. Okay.
Or what if as he's falling, he's being shot, and then he does hit the floor. That's when the bullet tries to come out short one. Then he bounces back up again or something. And the medical examiner was like, no. Like,
Listen, I don't know physics, but that doesn't seem right.
Just no, girl. But the second shot, he was down on the floor.
Yeah.
When he was shot.
Also,
So,
self-defense ends once the threat is eliminated.
Neutralized, yeah.
So if it only takes one shot to neutralize you, the second one makes me the aggressor.
yes. Yeah. So the police get there. When they get there, Alex is kind of holding like a towel or something
my
on the back of his
God,
head.
this
and
was
he's
ridiculous.
like, he hit me in the head with the bat or whatever. Charles Vallow, he was 62 years old. He was a very fit man. He was very strong. He was a minor league baseball player back in his day.
Yeah.
And everybody that, investigated this case was like, if Charles Vallow hit you in the head with a baseball bat, your ass would be knocked out
Deceased.
cold. At the very least.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be standing up coming at him with a gun after that.
No.
You just would not.
And like the wound on the back of his head is like
teeny.
barely bleeding.
Yeah. It's like a little.
It's like maybe, let's say Charles did swing at him. That's what I would call a swing and a miss.
Mm-hmm.
A real miss.
Yeah. It's not the same. Not the same.
It looks like he took the bat and was like, doop, hit
Yeah.
me just hard enough to make it bleed.
Exactly.
But like, I don't
Couldn't,
even
like,
think he had a
not a whole lot.
concussion or anything.
So Lori apparently was inside the house at the time that it happened. She hears the shots.
Yeah.
JJ's already in the car. So she gets in Charles's rental car and drives JJ to Burger King and then school.
Uh-huh.
Tylee goes with her. And then she comes back to the house.
Mm-hmm.
Alex does call 911, but he waits after the shots happen. He waits like 37 or 39 minutes before he makes the call. They get there, they're interviewing. She's really weird on it. She's like, "Oh, sorry, neighbors. We've only been here 3 weeks." And we're just like, "Oh, they don't know us." Like, "Oh, sorry, neighbors." Like,
Yeah.
it's super weird.
Okay, this whole thing is weird to me too because of Tylee. Because if Lori was in the house when this happened and they heard the shots, you're telling me Tylee would have been 16, 17 then, right? You walked a teenager because he was like in the living room or the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Like he was in a very prominent area of the home. It's not like he was in a bedroom or something hidden away where they could just like shut the door and walk by and not see him. Like if they had to walk out of that house, there's no way that Tylee did not see him.
No.
If they were in the house.
Yeah.
And then they came back to the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then isn't Tylee in the interview when the police are there?
Yeah.
And
she
like-
is interviewed.
And she says, yeah, I came out of my room with a bat or whatever. And she like kind of corroborates the story, but also the way she's telling the story is very
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah. She's a minor at the time.
Yeah.
Her mom probably told her, maybe she did come out. Maybe Lori was yelling, "Tylee, Tylee, Tylee, he's attacking me." She doesn't see anything. She comes out, he's shot, whatever. I'm sure that she believed what her mom said at this point. She could be, I don't want to say brainwashed, but like she's a kid.
Yeah.
And when your mom tells you something, for the most part, you believe them. And
Well, and also maybe we don't know how she got her out of the house. She could have been like, we have to get out of here. Oh my God. Oh my God. It could have been anything.
Yeah.
But it still is just like, for me, like the pieces don't fit right there.
right.
And the fact that the police in the interview or like nobody up to that point is seeing that the pieces don't fit is
No. And they kind of just mark it down as self-defense.
yeah, they're like, you said self-defense. Okay.
Okay, sounds good to me. They don't ask any questions. In Lori's interview with one of the police officers, she says, he was sending me all these threatening texts on my phone. She had Charles's phone with her at that moment.
Yeah.
They didn't know where the phone was. They didn't know that. They didn't ask for any of that at that time necessarily. They didn't ask to see the text. They didn't ask to see anything. They were just like, okay.
It doesn't seem like they treated this as a homicide investigation at all.
No.
It seems like they decided self-defense. He said self-defense. Okay, judge, jury, executioner here. It's self-defense.
And they just didn't do it.
Such a botched investigation.
Yeah. They did a terrible
It's like,
job.
did you even try?
It doesn't feel like it. No. And the only reason they looked back into it was because JJ and Tylee went missing. Chad is now leading, this is early September 2019. Chad is now leading, this like end of days, whatever.
It's a doomsday cult.
Yes. Yeah. Doomsday mom.
That's what it is.
Lori ends up moving to Rexburg, Idaho to be close to Chad. This is 7 weeks after Charles dies.
No disrespect to Idaho. The love of my life could live there. I'm not going.
I know. And they're like Idaho is where all of the Chosen are going to like meet up or something. Like,
I feel like if the Chosen were going to meet up, they should choose Miami.
A beach somewhere.
Somewhere in Hawaii.
Yeah, Lori like lived in Hawaii for a while. Like
Vegas. Let's just pick somewhere fun.
Fun. Yeah, not Rexburg, Idaho.
God.
I'm sure it's a lovely place.
I'm sure it is lovely.
Yeah. So she moves there. Chad then declares Tylee is dark.
Every time someone gets in the way of him and Lori being together, it turns out they're actually a demon.
Exactly.
They're dark. They're zombies. Really, when you're killing them, you're not even killing them because they're already dead. Mm-hmm. They've already been taken over.
Well, that's true. Yeah. So in September, Tylee is last seen on September the 8th. There's a picture of her that day. The last day that JJ is seen is September the 22nd, ever. He's never been seen again.
Yeah.
So after this, Chad and Lori were supposed to go on a real date in person together in Idaho, but they had to cancel it. Why would they try to go on a real date that night anyway?
I don't know.
Didn't you just say it's a really, really small town? So why would you even, anyway? So they're mad.
Yeah.
They're like, well, this is it. I mean.
This big fat sucks. We're mad.
Yeah. They're like, we have to cancel our date. Tammy's going to hear about it. That's not fair. And then the next day, Tammy's dead.
R.I.P. Tammy.
Yeah. Well, was she dead that day or was that the day that somebody tried to shoot at her?
Oh, that might have been the day that somebody tried to shoot at her. So,
yeah.
Our boy Alex goes and he's like staking out her house, right? But what she does is park in a different spot than she normally does. So I guess like in our driveway, I don't know about your driveway, like we don't have designated parking spots, but like there's some general guidelines to who parks where, right?
Yeah.
And I would assume it was probably the same at their house. So she parked in a spot that she doesn't normally park in. And the way they explained it was where she parked meant that Alex had to walk further or like he was going to have to be positioned in a different spot than what he intended to be, which meant it was going to take him longer to get back to his vehicle. So he like abandoned ship and didn't do it that day.
Yeah. Well, and he apparently tried to shoot, but he was unable to. She called 911 and was like, a guy is standing out here like with a paintball gun. He's trying to shoot at me.
She
like,
thought
whatever.
it was a paintball gun.
No, it was a real gun. Because then Alex goes home after that and Googles AR-15 cold weather operation.
Yeah.
So they think the gun
jammed basically because of the cold weather.
My God. So that would have been a miracle that she survived, but unfortunately 10 days later, Chad and his son, well, I think his son finds her, but Tammy has died in her sleep, and she's like,
again,
45 years old.
R.I.P. Tammy.
Yeah, maybe she's 50, I can't remember, but she's very young. She's in good health.
Yeah.
They said she had a coughing fit, and then she died. She wasn't sick. So people were like, what? They end up exhuming her later. Because he didn't want an autopsy or anything like that. They exhume her later and they find out that she died of asphyxia.
Well,
and Lori says, oh my gosh, there was no foul play.
She just died. She just coughed herself to death.
Yeah, just natural causes. She was like, Tammy and I loved each other. We were friends for eternity.
Yeah.
And she still comes and visits me.
Yeah, that's what she says. It was always the three of them in every eternity or something. Like,
girl, then why didn't you want Tammy to know you were on a real date? I thought she loved you and everything was great.
Yeah. No. And her being like, Tammy comes and visits me in my jail cell every week and we talk. I was like,
she better hope.
Girl, she's not visiting you. She's haunting you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's haunting.
And I would too.
And you best believe my ghost ass is up in there every day.
I don't even think so. So, not long after Tammy's death, only a couple weeks, Lori and Chad get married in Hawaii. Lori bought her wedding ring on October the 2nd, 2019. Tammy was still super duper alive then. Yep. Lori says, I didn't buy those rings for Chad and I. I bought them for Alex and Zulema. Okay, so get your facts straight,
I was about to call her Luzema. I was like, that's not right.
Luzema. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, this pissed me off too. Get your facts straight, Keith. He's like, the rings that you ordered, we have the receipt from your account, which I think was like an Amazon ring.
It was.
No shade. Right? But we've got it in your Amazon account that you paid for, and they're in your wedding photos.
She's like, well, we borrowed them from them. Well, how come there's no communication with them about sizing, about...
The dress that I wore, I bought for her. I just borrowed it. Like...
No, you didn't. You never gave it back to her. She never wore it.
What woman do you know that would be like, I know I haven't gotten married in this dress yet, but if you want to borrow it to get married first, you can.
Right.
Like, that's like a special thing. And it's not like, oh, I'm giving this to my daughter or I'm giving this to a close friend. And like, is it like a...
Hey, girl, do you mind if I use your wedding dress first?
Yeah. No.
For you? No.
The level, like...
Never.
That is the least inappropriate thing that allegedly happened.
Well, that's the truth.
But the level of inappropriateness is just like, have you been out in society
so
before?
Much, yeah. That would
social
just
norms
literally
don't
never
exist
happen.
For her.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Exactly. Like even if you were like just going to the courthouse and you were like, oh, I'm just gonna wear like a white sundress, you still wouldn't have somebody else wear that before you. No. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
It's like a sentimental thing. It's okay.
Exactly. So they get married.
Yay for them.
After their honeymoon, they receive $430,000 from Tammy's life insurance. Then they go back to Rexburg. And this is when people start asking about JJ and Tylee. Because they're like, where are they? Like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. And the wedding rings shipped to Idaho is actually how Kay found out that Lori was in Idaho. Because after Charles died, Kay didn't know where she took JJ. She could not find him at all.
Oh.
Lori wasn't contacting her. And so Lori happened to use Charles's Amazon account still, the account she used when she was married to Charles. And so Kay went in there and found that purchase and found the address in Idaho. And that's how she knew to call Idaho to go check on JJ. So she's the one who called the welfare check-in.
Yeah.
So,
and that's JJ's grandmother.
Yes, JJ's grandmother. So
this was wild.
Yes. So the police go there because they've been asked to go check on JJ.
Yeah.
And Lori's not there, but Chad and Alex are there. And they're like, hey, where's Lori? And they're like,
Lori? Never heard of her.
I'm sorry.
Who's
Did
Lori?
You say Rory? I don't know who that is. They're like, she's not here, whatever. So they're like, okay, well, where's JJ? Oh, I'm pretty sure he's with his grandmother in Louisiana.
Yeah. And then the police are like, actually, funny. His grandmother from Louisiana is who called us and said she hasn't seen him or heard from him. So what about that? And they're just like, ooh, yikes. I don't know.
I don't know. She's probably around here, or he's probably around here somewhere. They're like, okay, well, we need to get in touch with Lori.
Yeah.
Alex, her brother, says,
I don't have her number.
Gosh, I wish I did.
I'd love to help you, but I just don't have new phone. Who this?
Yeah. And then they're like, well, what about you, dude, over here, Chad? And he's like, I don't really know her that well. I've never talked to her actually.
The police knew that they were married already. Charles didn't know that the police knew that they were married. So
Chad.
Chad.
Yes.
Didn't know that the police knew that they had gotten married. So I don't know why the police in that moment were not just like obstruction of justice.
I know. They were just like, okay, fine. So they leave. And at this point, they call Melanie. Chad and Lori call Melanie and say, who lives in Arizona. And they're like, oh, hey, the police are going to call you. Just tell them that you have JJ. And she's like, I don't appreciate that.
And this is her far out there weirdo friend who also believes in alien abductions or whatever it is they believe in.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I don't feel good about, listen, I believe we're going to be raptured by ET. I draw the line at lying to the police.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like,
She
good
was
for you,
like,
girl.
I don't
Boundaries are
appreciate
important.
that. Yeah. The fact that she had any questions about that and was like, why would you want me to lie to the police? Like, I don't appreciate that. They ripped her a new one over that. It was really bad. So the police end up searching the house. They don't find anything. Lori and Chad go to Hawaii. They flee Idaho. They end up investigating this case. They get a court order that says that Lori has to produce the children within 5 days. Of course, she doesn't do that. So she gets arrested.
But they don't arrest her on like the 5th day, right?
No,
like it's
they
like
don't.
10 days later.
I
or
didn't
something.
understand that.
And I was like, we have missing children. Missing children.
And she can't produce them and nobody else can
She's
either.
not showing up. People are telling you that for months they haven't seen or heard from these kids. And you're just like, well, we gave her 5 days and she just didn't. So like, I don't know.
I could not believe that.
At 1 minute after that 25th 24-hour period, I would be knocking on the door. Excuse me, ma'am. This is a violation of a court order. We're going to jail.
Yes. I don't understand that. And I remember when it happened, like seeing it on the news and they're like, she has 5 days to produce them. I'm like, what?
So,
I wonder if they already just thought that they were looking for bodies at that point, but still,
I mean, maybe, but even so, like, and maybe they did put a tail on her and we just don't know about it. But like,
they do find a text from Alex. From Chad about burning limbs and how he had to shoot a raccoon and had buried it in the pet cemetery.
Yeah. So this basically is a marker in the text, in their communication, and it sets up a story or an explanation for why there would be disturbed earth in the yard in a specific area and why there would be things that have been burnt.
Yep.
But luckily, this time, the police are like, that's a weird thing to say to someone.
It's in this text message is
suspicious
at the same time that Tylee is just never seen again.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, we think she was burying. They were burying her.
They are able to use that to get the search warrant.
Yes. So they get the search warrant. They search his property. And they find the body of JJ Vallow, who was 7 years old. Yes. He was in the PJs that he was seen in the last time he was seen in the photo that they have. He had duct tape over his mouth. He had been asphyxiated.
Yeah.
And I think a bag over his head. It's just terrible. Tylee was about 30 yards away. She had been burned and dismembered. They do not know how she was killed.
That is insane. I mean, the whole thing is wild, but like.
And then they went to Hawaii and had a f***ing vacation.
Yeah.
Oh, and in between then they killed Tammy too.
Yeah. Well,
and now Alex is dead.
They were busy. They deserved a vacation, I guess. But what also was weird to me is that when the police show up with the warrant and they're like, we're going to search the property, Charles is just like, Charles, right? Yeah.
Chad.
Dang it. They got to stop having CH names.
Yeah.
Chad's just like, okay. He doesn't fight it. He doesn't say anything. He gets on the phone and he apparently calls his kids and is like, basically like, a last goodbye. You're not going to see me anymore. I'm probably going to jail today. He calls Lori and he's like a little bit panicked. He's like, I'm a little worried. She's like, are you okay? What's going on? Because Lori's in jail right now, right? When this is going on.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that's right.
because she didn't produce the kids. So she's in jail. He's not. So he calls her in jail and he's like, I'm worried. And she's like, what's going on? And he's like, the police are here and they're going to find, he tells her on the phone, he's like, they're going to find him. But he's so like, it's like he knew this was going to happen eventually. And he's just like, he had already accepted his fate and he knew that he was living on borrowed time and he was fine with it.
Yep.
Like he's arrested without incident, right? Like and he tries to leave. He tries to drive away, right?
Yeah, he does try to drive away, but they pull him over and they arrest him. And then they're like, do you need to make any phone calls to like let your family know that you've been arrested? He was like, no, I told him I was going to get arrested today
he's like, I already talked to everybody.
Yeah. So they end up being obviously charged with murder. 3 counts of murder for Chad, killing Tammy, JJ, and Tylee, and several counts of conspiracy to commit murder and insurance fraud. Lori faced 2 counts of first-degree murder for JJ and Tylee, conspiracy for Tammy, and grand theft. They were convicted on all accounts. Chad was sentenced to death. She was sentenced to life in prison. Okay, her statement at sentencing is infuriating. Okay. She says, suicides happen.
Oh my God.
Accidental deaths happen. Side effects from medications happen.
She's not wrong. All of those things do happen. The difference is when those things happen, the bodies aren't buried in your backyard.
And dismembered and burned.
Or with a bag over their head.
No, they sure don't. And then she also makes the claim at some point in that statement, I don't think they showed it in this, that she knows that, you know, Tylee was just tortured her whole life because of all her medical issues.
Yeah. Pancreatitis or something. She was like, she had pancreatitis and she was just suffering so much. She was in
pain, but now she's dancing in heaven or something like that.
Take her to the hospital, girl. Like,
she ends up having a phone call with Colby.
Yeah.
And he asks, like, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, like, at this point, she's been convicted.
And he just wants to know the truth, and he wants to know it from her. He's like, I just want to hear it.
Yeah, just tell me. Like, you've been convicted. Everybody knows that you had something to do with it. Just tell me what happened. And she tries to blame it on Tylee. She says, you know, I think Tylee was putting JJ to bed, and she had to hold him down to put his PJs on. And she probably held him down too hard, and he died.
Yeah, and then she felt so guilty that she killed herself.
Well, that's interesting because she died 2 weeks before he did.
Well, yeah. The whole thing is disgusting, and the level of delusion is wild.
Absolutely wild.
And she has no remorse.
No.
None at all.
None at all. She says that she tries to question, you know, Keith is like, how come the pattern is every time somebody, like Chad calls somebody dark or a zombie, they end up dying? And she's like, did you hear him say that, Keith? I didn't hear him say that. That's a narrative. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, she just won't stop.
Literally the whole interview, I would say out of the, hour and a half long that this interview is, there's probably a total of 10 minutes of her talking.
Yeah.
And it's spliced in there. But even when she's talking in these 10 minutes, which I'm going to assume are probably the only usable 10 minutes that they had.
Exactly. She talked that whole time.
She talked that whole time and it's just not helpful.
Yeah.
But the whole time she's being combative. She's trying to redirect the conversation. She's making it about her, about, well, I'm the only one who can tell you the truth. And do you even want to know the truth? And like, well, we can talk about that in another interview. And Keith is like, no, this is the only interview you're going to get. Like, you don't get a second one of these. The corrections department has said, this is it. This is the only one you will have. She's like, we'll talk about it next time. And it's like, stop being gross and weird.
She's so gross and weird. And like, she redirects, wants to do this narrative or whatever. But when he says, well, what was this like relationship with Chad? She's like, my husband that I've been married to for 5 years. We are soulmates in every lifetime and like whatever.
Yeah.
She's happy to talk about that as much as she can.
That's like the only thing that she will. And I mean, I still don't think she's telling the truth. But it's the only thing that she will stay on topic for.
Yes. Yeah.
Everything else is like, what happened to Tylee? Well, Tylee was sick, but moving on.
Yeah.
Where's JJ? He's with his grandmother, but like just.
So that's basically it. At the end, she talks about how excited she is to represent herself.
Yep.
Which you can tell it's a show for her. Because like you said, what does she have to lose? She doesn't have anything to gain either, really.
Yeah.
So it's like a show for her. She's like, it's great. Love it.
She is getting the attention.
Yeah, it was crazy. But you could tell she was loving it.
Oh, every minute of it, I'm sure.
Yeah. And she's going to do it again.
And there's TV cameras now. And people are talking about her on social media. And her son has a podcast, and I'm sure she lives in the delusion that he talks about her all the time. Can you listen to podcasts in jail?
I don't know.
If so, Lori, I hope you see this. Yuck. But yeah, that's that. So if you really feel the need to listen to Lori Vallow say Keith over and over, please watch that episode.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and if you want a breakdown of the closing arguments in the Charles Vallow murder conspiracy trial, I did that on YouTube here as well.
Yeah, so go back and watch that.
I broke those down. Yeah.
And you're going to do the rest of them too, right? Or the upcoming stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Breakdowns of that. So, and those will not be this long.
No.
So
Whoops.
you can get your recaps of what's actually happening. So come back and check those out.
Please do.
And it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.